This video is part 2 of our digital communication, and it is on digital modulation techniques. So far we have assumed that modulating signal or the message signal uh, is available in analog form. It can be digitized using sampling, quantization and coding, as was done in the pulse code modulation system. In digital modulation techniques, the signal is assumed as digital, that is a PCM signal. Such a signal can be transmitted over a line. That's basically a low pass channel using line codes without further modulation. Line codes or line coding has different formats like return to zero, non-return to zero, or bipolar, unipolar, AMI, and different kind of formats are available for line coding. So you have to select a suitable format for transmission. But if such a signal is to be transmitted through space to a long distances, then frequency translation is needed using the amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, or phase modulation. Note here that the carrier is sinusoidal with a fixed frequency, and modulation process involves switching or keying. Switching is also called keying, like amplitude shift keying, frequency shift keying, and phase shift keying. And these modulations are called as a special cases of AM, FM, and PM. Okay, now we proceed to the presentation of slides. Now we can see this is on digital modulation techniques. You will find in some of the books this topic is also written as data transmission or data communication, and the reason being, since the signal here is fully digital, and that is why we call it that way. So in digital communication, modulating signal is binary data or an M-Array encoded version of it. M-Array data means that instead of transmitting single bit or single bit of information, we can have more than one bit. So this modulates the carrier, usually sinusoidal, with a fixed frequency. Okay, so this is modulating with a sinusoidal with fixed frequency that we have seen. Here data is maybe obtained from the digital computer, and it could be out of or output of a PCM, pulse code modulation systems. So basically the message signal is in the digital form. Channel here could be telephone channel, microwave link, etc. So three basic modulation techniques are available. For this we call them amplitude shift keying, frequency shift keying, and phase shift keying, and they are said to be special cases of AM, FM, and PM. About the channel, the low pass channel is a channel which has frequency range from 0 Hz to the maximum frequency FM, like a baseband channel. That means when we are transmitting using line coding, we have a low pass channel. A band pass channel is over the band of frequencies, not from 0 hertz. Like the band is not starting from 0 hertz, but it will be some frequency f1 and the other upper frequency will be f2. So it is like telephone channel, right? Radio link. These are the types of band pass channels. So whenever we are sending the signal with ASK, FSK and PSK, it is on the band pass channel. That means channel having a band of frequencies. We can very briefly see the amplitude shift keying. Here we can say the data is 1 and corresponding to 1 we have some frequency carrier to be transmitted, and for 0 it is 0. Okay. Similarly, this requirement for this ASK is a low bandwidth requirement, and it's very susceptible to interference. Frequency shift keying, corresponding to 1 there is some frequency and there is some carrier frequency corresponding to 0. So this is frequency shift keying, and this method needs a larger bandwidth. Phase shift keying, PSK, it's a very common method here. Changes phase with each symbol. That means this is frequency is same, only the phase is being changed here from 1 to 0. There is a phase change of the symbol here. Scheme is more complex, but it is robust against the interference. Okay, it gives lower interference. Okay. Now we'll see very briefly amplitude shift keying, is also said to be on-off keying. For this, the pulse shaping is required to remove the spectral spreading. There is a spectral spreading in this kind of modulation, so pulse shaping is required to remove this spectral spreading, and this is affected by noise. Frequency shift keying, this method we have already seen, it could be expanded for M-Array systems. That means multiple frequencies at different states, and the third one is phase shift keying, PSK, or binary phase shift keying. Same name, has a better performance than ASK and BFC, binary frequency shift keying. BPSK can be expanded to M-Array, employing multiple phases and amplitudes at different states. Now we come to the detection process. The detection of these binary signals involves detecting whether the bit 1 has been transmitted or bit 0 is being transmitted. So that way detection basically is a simple process, but depending if you want to have a higher data rate, then it's not so straightforward and simple. So one kind of detection is a coherent detection, and other is non-coherent detection. This is non-coherent detection. Okay, next is this. Now we see coherent detection, or is also said to be synchronous detection. This is a basic receiver structure. Here we have the input signal having the basic signal and the noise, and there is a filter here. This filter filters out the noise, and this is a sampler circuit. Samples every TB seconds. TB is the bit width of the, it means pulse width, or width of the pulse at the time, and this is a threshold device, RED converter. That means threshold is set here in advance, and depending upon the threshold we detect whether the signal is 1 or signal is 0. So sample value is compared against the predetermined threshold and the bit is detected. But due to noise at the receiver, there is an error. That means instead of 1 we detect 0, or instead of 0 we may detect 1. and that gives rise to error probability. That means what is the error in how many symbols, what is the kind of error which is there in detection of the signal. This kind of detection requires this coherent detection requires replica of the carrier at the receiver. Received signal and replica carrier are cross correlated using the information contained in their amplitude and phase, and we call it a optimum receiver. This is a receiver which yields minimum probability of error is said to be an optimum receiver. Now, what is a match filter? This optimum receiver is also called a match filter when the noise at the receiver is white. When the white Gaussian noise is there, is said to be the matched receiver or match filter. So implemented as an integrate and dump correlation receiver, or it has a filter, sampler and threshold device. So it could be maybe implemented with filter, sampler and threshold device. And here the figure shows as the correlation receiver. It's also called an integrate and dump filter. So source having white Gaussian noise, and this is signal. There is a filter to limit the noise. Then at the receiver, this carrier generated at the receiver, and this is signal. They are cross correlated and they are sampled here. That this sampler, this is like an integrator, is closes every TV seconds and dumps this data to the threshold device to detect whether it is 1 or 0. Here integrator has to be reset, that capacitor is discharged and dumped at the end of each signal interval. That is essential. And this RC time constant has to be much larger than TV, the pulse width. Okay. Now non-coherent detection is also quite common. It does not require complex procedure of generating the reference signal, and so does not exploit the phase information. Differential phase shift keying, DPSK, is one of the very common technique which is used for non-coherent detection. Frequency shift keying and amplitude shift keying can also use non-coherent detection. These techniques are less complex than coherent detection, but has worse performance. So performance-wise they are poor. But this DPSK, differential phase shift keying, is a non-coherent version of the PSK, and it's a differentially coherent modulation method. That means why differentially coherent? The input sequence of binary bits is modified such that the next bit depends upon the previous bit. So it is dependent upon the previous bit. So that is why it is differentially coherented. The advantage is less complex circuitry than the PSK. It's commonly used for medium speed data transmission. It's a very commonly used for medium speed data transmission. DPSK requires about 1 dB more power than coherent PSK. That's all for the same bit error rate, but you save lot of circuitry, complex circuitry, which was needed for coherent detection. Here it's obvious that error appears in pairs since previous bit is used to detect the next bit. So that is the disadvantage. Okay, now we go to next slide. M-Array signaling, actually it's a very common signaling. It contains more than 2 signals and each represent more than single bit of information. Contains more than 2 signals. That means when we are transmitting a data, it contains more than 1 bit of information. Okay, for signal of size m, number of bits is given by log of 2 to m per signal. So bandwidth for M-array system is given by bandwidth for binary system divided by log of m base of 2, and for M-array PSK the bandwidth is 2 RB divided by log of m to 2. So there is a great amount of reduction in the bandwidth when we are using M-array system. Now this is a very important definition, or very important I would say the terms you should know: the bit rate and the baud rate. Actually, bit rate is the number of bits per second, obvious, and baud rate is the number of signal units per second. That means how many units are there in a signal which are transmitted per second. Okay, so baud rate is less than or equal to the bit rate. Bit rate is important in computer efficiency. Baud rate is important in data transmission. So baud rate is given by bit rate divided by number of bits per signal units. Bit rate divided by log of m to base 2. Now we can take a simple example here. The bit rate of a signal is 3600 bits per second. If each signal unit has 6 bits, what is the baud rate? So you can see baud rate is 3600 divided by 6. So this 600 bauds per second. Straightforward. Now this is a very important concept, the probability of error. In analog communication or analog modulation schemes, we have discussed signal to noise ratio. Here, instead of signal to noise ratio, we define that noise in terms of probability of error. That performance digital communication system is measured in terms of probability of error, and P ranges from 10 to the power minus 4 to 10 to the minus 7 in practical system. That means at least there will be an error like in the range of 10 to the power minus 4, 10 to the minus 7, 1 in 10 to the power minus 4, and 1 in 10 to the power minus 7. So this is what is the typical range which is permissible for it. QZ is the Q function. This is an important introduction because earlier the Q function was not used. We were using the error function. The Q that is the Q function, the area under normalized Gaussian function. Okay, so this is now common in defining the bit error rate. Now it's replacing the earlier used error function, and you have to notice from these equations, these are definitions here, there is a factor of root 2 need to be noticed between the two here. This value for QZ is defined as from xz to infinity 1 over root 2 pi e to the power minus y square per 2 dy, and you notice here this error function, half of error function y over root t is qy. Here you can see this y, and in this error function is y by root 2. So whenever you are converting from one type of function like q function to error function or error function to this, you have to be very careful in translating this, making it equivalent, that is y over root 2. And error function is defined as 1 over root pi x to infinity e to the power minus z square by 2 this is the definition. Detailed information available in all the communication books you can refer to. Now we see the geometric representation of the modulation signal, and that we call a constellation diagram. Basically, it is a graphical representation of the complex envelope of each possible symbol state. X-axis represents in-phase component. This is the in-phase component, and actually this is y-axis, not x. Y-axis is a quadrature component of the complex envelope, and the distance between signal on a constellation diagram tells how different the modulation waveforms are. That means if they are far off, the modulation waveform are quite different, and how the receiver can differentiate between them. This is binary phase shift keying. A phase changes between the bits. Phase change of 180 degrees for each bit. Here you can see this is corresponding to 1, and there is a phase change of 180 degrees here for 0, and similarly there is a phase change. So 180 degrees phase change is there. So the signal is S1t is twice EB over TV under root twice FCT, and S2t is minus 2EB1. So 180 degrees phase shift within the two signals. Okay, that's F or SVT. For T is between 0 and TB. Graphical representation of the complex signal of each possible symbol state is given here. This is the graphical representation. This is in phase channel and this is quadrature. Now QPSK, so very common quadrature phase shift keying arrangement, interpreted as two independent BPSK binary phase shift keying. Large envelope variations occurs due to abrupt phase transitions, thus requiring linear amplification. So you need a linear amplification when there is a larger phase change from the bit to bit, from one bit of information to the other. And the problem is here we have taken what is the bit rate of 1000 bauds per 16 QM signal. 16 QM signal has log of 2, 16, so 4 bits. So that means 4 bits will be sent at a time. So 4 into 1000, so this would be the bit rate. Bandwidth requirement for QPSK is reduced to half of BPSK, since 2 bits are transmitted in a single modulation symbol, so information rate can be higher. Okay. Other schemes, we will only touch upon these schemes. Minimum shift keying. This is a continuous phase modulation schemes where modulation carrier has no phase discontinuity. The frequency change occurs at a carrier zero crossing. That means although there is a change occurs, but it occurs at the zero crossing. There is a Gaussian minimum shift keying. It's continuous phase shift keying method and alternate of QPSK. GMSK allows efficient class C nonlinear amplifier because there is no phase discontinuity as we had seen there. Okay. Now we see here this comparison of digital modulation schemes. Now we want to compare these modulation schemes, the phase shift keying, frequency shift keying, ASK. We can see at the receiver coherent schemes are more complex amongst non-coherent. DPSK is more complex. A bandwidth is most important, than VSP is the best choice. Power requirement is important, then coherent PSK and DPSK is most desirable. And if the equipment complexity is limiting, then non-coherent schemes should be used. Now there is a table giving the comparison of the binary digital modulation schemes here. We can hear these are the modulation schemes. These are the two signals, the bandwidth, probability of error, and this a comment. So coherent ASK and non-coherent ASK here required nearly the same bandwidth, and we have given here Q factor also and the error function also for your convenience. So you know that how they have been conveniently placed here. Maybe some books may refer to only error function and some may refer to the Q function. And this is rarely used. Both coherent and non-coherent ASK are very rarely used. There is a probability of error for this. Okay. Now coherent FSK. Anyway, these are the signals for coherent and this for non-coherent FSK. You can see the Q factor here and the Q factor and the error function in this case. You can notice here what we observed here, that we find 2.2 dB more power required than PSK. So coherent FSK required 2.3 dB more power than PSK requires for the same bandwidth, and it requires more bandwidth. Okay, and then non-coherent FSK scheme. This is the probability of error. No advantage over PSK, so it's very rarely used. Now this PSK scheme is very common. Coherent PSK and non-coherent PSK. Coherent PSK, you can determine the Q factor and error function, and this has 3 dB power advantage over ASK. So it's a very common. And in the non-coherent PSK, although bandwidth is about twice RB only, same. DPSK is non-coherent version of PSK, but only little inferior than coherent PSK. So 1 dB more power, only requires 1 dB more power, but it saves a lot of complexity uh, of the circuit because it's a non-coherent one. So DPSK is very common scheme, and coherent PSK are also uh, very common. These two schemes are quite commonly used. Now it comes towards the end. We summarize the whatever we have told here. PSK is often used as it provides sufficient use of RF spectrum. Okay, so PSK is the most common scheme which is used, and pi by 4 QPSK reduces envelope variation of the signal. That means if there is a QPSK, when there is a phase change of pi by 2, 180 degrees, then there is a variation of phase, discontinuous variation of phase, but pi by 4 QPSK reduces envelope variation of signal. High level MRE schemes such as 64 km, there's a high level MRE schemes are also existing. They will be saving the bandwidth, but they are more susceptible to noise and require linear amplification. So normally very high QM schemes or very high MRE schemes are not very popular because of this. Constant analog schemes such as GMSK allows for non-linear power efficient amplifiers. That is the advantage of GMSK schemes, that because there is no discontinuities, phase or frequencies of the signals, so you can use these schemes, GMSK very commonly, and you can use non-linear amplifiers also. And the coherent disruption provides better performance, but requires more complex receiver. So very obvious, because you have to have generate the carrier, and the phase tracking information is, our phase tracking is also to be done. So that's why coherent schemes are more complex. So this is all about this part. With the completion of this digital modulation, we have completed analog and digital modulation portion, and the next we'll try to see the random variables and probability, and the other part is information theory and coding, that we'll try to see in our subsequent presentations. Thank you and happy viewing.